What advice do you think you'd give to another female trying to get into the sound engineering world?
I would say,
hey guys, I'm Ruby May and welcome back to The Shed. I'm here with Imi Wright. How are you doing today, Imi?
I'm really good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm so excited to have you on. You've got so much experience. I'm so excited to talk about it all. So, music, when did that kind of start for you? How did you fall in love with it all?
I've kind of always been exposed to music since like a young age. So even though my family isn't explicitly musical, my mum and my sister are dancers. So my mum was a professional dancer and dance teacher.
I feel like you've told me this before.
I think I might have.
For a bit of context, I know Imi because we worked at Victoria's Festival together. Sorry, back to your dancing role.
Yeah, and then my sister is now a professional dancer and dance teacher. So when I was younger, it was kind of always, we ended up dancing. As we do.
Do you think you kind of always knew you were going to go into music eventually, or did you have
not
like ideas of what you wanted to do beforehand?
Absolutely not. It was kind of, when I grew up, it was like, going to be a dancer. That'll kind of be it.
Yeah.
And then I kind of started getting older,
branching out a little bit away from that side.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was 8 and then I decided to play guitar. My parents were like, really? Like, is this actually going to stick? Is this like another like 5-minute wonder? It has, yeah. Fun. But that kind of spiraled into the next part, which was then going into high school, and I had a lot of amazing opportunities with my guitar teacher. 100%. He opened a venue in our hometown and had like major acts play there, like not enough movies. Every time I dance, and I would always be like at the back of the venue as well, still on a flight case, like shouldn't have been there. So that kind of heavily influenced me, just like to see all that perspective.
Yeah.
And then also when I went to high school, I think there was like a music industry day where we had like a songwriter come in and we like put into like groups. And
I knew so good. I liked your school.
I know, this was great. And then I knew my friend from the year above, Ruby.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how we met. We just kind of knew each other from around school. And she was like, oh, do you want to come and be in my group? Wrote a song in like 2 hours for this industry day. And then we were kind of like, oh, we kind of enjoy this.
Yeah.
So we kind of made it a thing, and we continued as a 3-piece. Maddie decided it would be best for her to not be in the bands, and we continued as a 3-piece. So me, Kay, and Ruby. Ruby was bass and lead vocals. I was backing vocals and guitar, and Kay was drums.
Sick.
And we were
all girl power.
Yeah, and we were called the Caravan Club, and we did like a few gigs around Norwich.
I love that too.
Yeah,
that's a really cute name.
We got BBC introducing, we released a single.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like,
really
it was a 14, 15-year-old. It was amazing. Then as they were a year old, there was a few like differences with them going away, and it was sort of the end of like that era. It was like, it served us well, but we want to move on. Literally applied to uni, I was literally ready to go, and then this apprenticeship came out and it really threw me,
and you weren't really sure.
I sat down with my parents, and my dad was like, look, what have you got to lose? The music industry isn't going to wait. You go and do that. If it doesn't work out, it's not for you, that's fine. Come back and do the engineering apprenticeship. They're never going to turn you down there. There's no age limit for that. But for music, the earlier you can get into it and the more experience you can get, it's so much better.
Anything that you think you love most about sound engineering?
There is one thing that definitely springs to mind, and it is how fast paced it is.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I thrive in that environment. So,
I know you do.
Yeah, so I did some shadowing in studio, and whilst the producer I shadowed was amazing and the band I worked with were amazing, I would not fault them. I just could not do it full time. It's listening to the same song over and over again. And it's the repetitive nature of sitting behind a desk as well. I just don't think I
you are sat stuck. Do you think there's anything that annoys you about being a sound engineer?
And bands don't say if they have a particular sound, put that on your tech spec and send it across to me in advance.
Okay.
Don't come over to me 5 minutes before you're due on and say, yeah, this is what I want it to sound like.
That's
and give me a description of what you want. If you'd written it all down there, I would know beforehand. Or just alert me at the start of the sound check or when you're setting up, oh, by the way, or just come to me even beforehand, just a little bit.
Communication.
It's so key. And just simple things like speaking to someone in a nice manner.
Yeah.
Because in those high pressure situations, you can get barked at quite a lot.
Yeah.
I tried to take it with a pinch of salt and not let it affect me, because you come across it a lot, which shouldn't be the norm. Also some sort of sexist remarks, and misogyny does play a little bit into that as well.
I think, unfortunately, when you are a female in such a male-dominated area, people kind of just do it, and it's like it's not always considered something that you should be like, well, no, I don't need to be treated this way, I don't need to be spoken to like this, you don't do that to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
It's actually shocking. So out of all people that work in technical roles in the music industry, only 5% of those roles are occupied by women.
Wow.
And only 2% of sound engineers are women.
That is crazy. Why do you think that is?
I think it kind of
just goes
back so long. I think with the fact of it's quite physical. Like if you're moving flight cases as well, like in any technical roles, if you're moving flight cases, you're loading on off stage. Men are typically stronger than women. That's not me being rude. That is just a fact. Like you can move things a lot
biologically.
Easier. Yeah, biologically, yeah. So there's that is seen as more like a hands-on job. But there's also, I think, this very big stigma that around this whole phrase like sound man. It's always the sound man. Everyone refers to it, even if you're not conscious of doing it.
You think
you say it. Like everyone says sound guy or sound man, and it's a very big like boys club environment. That's the sort of thing. It's very like exclusive almost. Like if you're not a male, you're not welcome. But you're not welcome.
Yeah.
Like I've worked as crew, loading and out at 2000 Trees, loading at the headline act, and over the weekend there was two very important examples that I will take away. There was one very big band that we worked with, and I got clicked at in the face and sort of like was told to put something on in a position on stage. They clicked on my face, was like, put it there.
That is disgusting.
Yeah, and it was actually funny enough. It was actually a female that did that to me as well, which I cannot get over.
I feel like I probably shouldn't have acted so shocked then, but I am actually shocked because you think women in the industry is kind of known we support each other. I think as women we do it anyway, so in the industry that's what we should be doing. So that is crazy.
I don't know if it was because she was the only female in that crew and it was an all-male band, so I don't know if it was like that perspective, but that's still no excuse.
No.
But then also as we were loading their gear back in at the end of the night, I had this flight case and I was absolutely fine moving it. My stage manager checked and was like, look, are you okay to move this by yourself? I was like, yep, absolutely fine, and that's the way it should be handled. And I went to move it on the ramp onto the Arctic lorry, and I remember him shouting at me, whoa, little lady, you can't move that. He spoke to me and basically said I was too petite and small to move it. And I just kind of was like, well, hold on. I'm not exactly the shortest for a girl. I'm 5'7". And I was looking at some of these other crew and I was like, they're the same height as me. What is this whole petite thing about? I'm not short. Like, and also like, yes, I might be skinnier than the guys, but that's my build. That's my physique.
Yeah, and bloody what?
And my stage manager looked at me. And he kind of looked at me and was like, I know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I bumped the flight case on the ramp anyways and I moved it.
Yes, you did.
And they kind of looked a bit gobsmacked. Yeah. So spin on it, which is like kind of negative. And then there was another big band that I worked with and their crew were absolutely amazing. I'd go onto the Arctic to get something off. And yeah, some of the cases are really awkward to carry when...
and they are heavy.
And they are heavy, yeah. And some of them are a two-person.
And that's okay.
But the way they handled it was so much dignity and respect. They
towards you and your work ethic.
Yeah, they were just appreciative that I could move it.
Yeah.
And help them. And at the end of the night, every single one of their crew came and shook every single one of our hands and thanked us for our help. And I think really
that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it ended on a high after starting the weekend of the festival with that. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be awful. We were just dreading it. And we were thinking they have so much equipment, it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
But the way they handled it, and considering like that was an all-male band and pretty much an all-male crew as well. Like,
what advice do you think you'd give to another female trying to get into the sound engineering world?
I would say have your wits about you.
Yeah.
Because
you've got to have your own back and you've got to have tough skin, unfortunately.
Yes, it's been really tough. Like one of my first shadowing opportunities I got offered, the gentleman that I was shadowing took that as an advance and thought that I was hitting on him, and he took that as a means to try and follow me home that evening. I was 19 when that happened.
Oh my god, Imi, that's terrifying.
Yeah, so
like, actually terrifying.
Yeah, and my mum said something to me, and it stuck with me. And it's horrible that she even had to think like this and say this. And I even was mortified telling my parents that it happened. But she said, at least it's happened now and not to you later on in your career. Because it's happened now. So if I experience it later on, I've got thick skin from that point and I'm not affected by it.
And I completely agree. But it is such a shame either way.
It's a shame. She hated having to say that
to you.
Yeah. And it was awful. And it's awful that you think, why am I going into this industry if there's things like that happening?
And it probably would deter most people.
It would. But I think it's kind of spurred me on.
Yeah.
almost. So
as it should.
Every time it happens now, or things like I get misogynistic comments, I just kind of laugh at it.
Yeah, I know that you have worked at so many festivals. I remember seeing you at
Yes.
Victorious and you had armbands up to your elbows.
Oh, it's awful. I think someone said to me, it was like, I think you've started a new strain of COVID with how many wristbands I had on my
disgusting. That's disgusting. What do you think was your favourite one to work at?
Ooh. I have to say 2000 Trees, because I did 2 roles there as well. Yeah. So I was a sound engineer on the Forest and Word stage, and then I also was loading that crew for the main stage. So I'd go early in the morning, load in the main stage, go and do the day of sound engineering, and then I'd go and load out in the evening, and it would be like such early mornings and such late nights, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And the people I met there were amazing, and I still kept in touch with a lot of people now.
Yeah. As you just said, that you work really long hours when you are on festival sites and doing that kind of thing. How do you think you manage that in the high pressure environment?
I think it's very different working gigs to festivals.
Yeah.
So if it's a festival, what I will typically do is I will block out a period of time after working. It's kind of help myself recover, unless I then go straight into working another festival, which it does happen if you do get
I remember you doing back to back.
Yeah, I did Arctangent, Boomtown and Victorious all back to back. I think I was home for about 2 days in between before I went off to the next one.
Must have been so exhausted.
It is, but I think it's very important to factor time in for yourself. And yes, I know music industry doesn't really allow for sort of families and things like that.
Yeah.
So, but I think it is important to give that recovery time for yourself. So I kind of blocked out time after festivals to look after myself and give myself that time. Yeah, decompress really. Also working on shift as well, I always make sure to eat a full meal before I go on for my shift if I can, like for a gig. It might be having dinner at like 3 p.m, but it's better to
then you've actually got something in your belly. You've got something to keep you going throughout the evening.
But then it's better to snack through the night. But then when you work in festivals, you kind of have to snack through the day.
About snacks, have you got anything that you take with you on site that always keeps you going throughout the day?
I tend to, even if I am catered for, I always tend to take like a bag of food in my tent with me, just in case. Because always like little brioches for breakfast that are individually packaged, or like cereal bars. Always a good one.
Snacks.
Yeah, crisps as well. Things that are like sealed, you can easily
throw in your bag.
Yeah, just chuck in your bag, so like fridge raiders, that sort of thing, or crisps, anything like that, sort of snacky bits you can do. But then I am partial to a little sweet treat. So
little sweet.
I remember I did have a Mao-Ams at Victorious. I think that was what I had.
Oh my god, they were so good. They kept me going. I want to know what you're going to say your favourite piece of equipment is, or what you'll always have on you, because I feel like I know. So I want to know what you say.
I think I know what you're going to say. But it's always like pro gaff, so gaffer tape or electrical tape.
Knew it.
Yeah. Because it's honestly used in so many instances, like electrical tape to label up DI boxes on stage.
Yeah. Getting to my final questions for you now. For anyone listening at home, what advice would you give to them trying to get into the sound engineering world?
I would say if you get any shadowing opportunities, take them.
Yeah.
That basically means you get to watch an engineer and observe what they do and basically learn from it. I know these are kind of hard to come about. So one thing I would say is go into your local venues, ask to shadow.
Yeah.
You don't ask, don't get. It's simple as that.
I think that is the best thing you could actually say about the music industry. If you don't ask, you don't get, and you might as well ask.
Yeah, I mean, even
it does lead to things sometimes.
It does, and also even if I've been in positions where I've not necessarily been the most qualified for the role, but because I've spoken to them, I've showed initiative, and I've asked
forward.
Yeah, and I ask a lot of questions. That's actually helped me more.
The determination, rather than someone who's ticks all the boxes.
They're looking for someone with potential. They don't want to see a finished product.
Yeah. Okay, you tell them. That was good. That was good. If there was one thing that you could change about the industry right now, what do you think it would be?
The accessibility for women. I'd say it's really, really hard for women. I mean, for any budding musician or crew or stage manager or anything to get into the industry, but to be a woman, it's even harder.
Yeah. There's just so much secondary judgment as a woman.
I think we need to reevaluate why that is. I think there's a lot of points raised saying, we can't get into the industry, but we need to look at why that is.
Yeah,
because that's where change starts, is evaluating it and evaluating the current state of it.
Have you got any exciting projects coming up?
Yeah. So I mean, I just had one literally last week, just passed. I had the opportunity to work at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yes, I saw on your story. That looked really, really cool.
So it was Annie Lennox, who's part of Eurythmics.
Massive.
Yeah,
massive.
Honestly, it was her charity gig for her charity called The Circle. I also just received confirmation yesterday that I've been offered a role, a paid role at the Pyramid Stage at Glastonbury.
That is insane. Yeah. That's actually insane. I'm so proud.
It's blown my mind, honestly. Yeah, I got.
I bet you're ecstatic.
I'm buzzing, and I'll be working in the production office for 8 days.
That's so exciting. 8 days as well on site. That is so exciting. You really have got your foot in the door. Like, really have. Like, you have got such big things coming for you and me, and I'm so excited to see where it goes.
Thank you so
much.
Honestly,
so excited to see where it
honestly,
goes.
This summer is shaping up to be amazing.
Incredible. And then my last question for you is, what are you listening to at the moment?
Okay, so there is one band I will always be listening to, and that's my favourite band. They're called Movements.
Okay. I don't know if I even know who they are.
They're not very big. They're from Orange County, California. But also I've been listening to quite a lot more like up and coming artists at the moment.
Good.
So Slag from Brighton.
Yep, we know
wow,
about Slag.
What a band. Honestly, yeah, amazing. Their new single Heaven. I mean, there's loads of other. There was another band called the Redroom.
Okay.
They're from Manchester, female fronted as well. Their single The Fear that came out recently, incredible. Yeah, a lot of smaller independent artists I listen to.
I feel like I've been seeing more female-led bands and artist groups recently than I have before, and I feel like I'm starting to discover more. So maybe that's something that's coming through a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I even like I never know how to pronounce this. Amel and the Sniffers.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with her. She is so sick. Like, I saw a clip of her recently, and it was like, don't touch people, have a great time, pull people up if they fall down, and then she just started.
What live music should be.
And that is, and the fact that an artist is saying that to an entire crowd before even starting playing, that's the way it should be as well.
Oh, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it just should be that way. That is all my questions for you. Amazing. But I would like to see if you have one question for me.
I think it's really important to ask is, obviously you're an avid music lover yourself and go to a lot of gigs.
Yes.
From your perspective as like an audience member, what would you like to see from us women in music? Would you like to see more of it? What do you think could help? Mm-hmm. And also, how do you find your experience in the audience as a female certain gigs?
That's a very good question. I like it. I think massively for me is, especially as a sound engineer, like I don't have the ability to do it. Like, my brain does not work in that way, and I respect you massively for it, but that is not my skill set. So I think even if I was like you and wanting to get into the sound engineer world, I personally, I don't look at it and I always see women there. So I think it needs to be shown more. Women can do it, women do it. And I think that is something, when you see somebody in a role that is similar to you, you think you can do it too. So I think massively women need to be shown in these areas that aren't necessarily a woman's role or a woman's part of the industry, which is always been, that is what men do. They lift the heavy briefcases, they do that. But we can do it. So let me see a woman do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to know and I want to see women doing it. And from the crowd perspective, like we've just said about Amel and the Sniffers, like, bands need to come on and say, don't be touching people if they don't want to be touching you. You help people up. We look after each other. We're all there to celebrate the music. We're all there to listen to it because we love it. So love each other, respect each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're all there for the same output. So put it in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I would say about
100%.
it. Yeah. Well, that's the end of this one. Thank you so much for coming on, Imi. It's been so lovely to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. It's amazing.
Oh, and I cannot wait to see what happens for you. I'm so excited.
Thank you
so excited. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time. If you like this one, subscribe and like, and also remember to follow us on Instagram. Thank you so much.